It's Feedback Gaming for another quick start guide, Uber Scuba Noob guide. You have been warned, this is a super noob guide to Italy to play the first 2 years of the game, to get an introduction of what to do, to help you step into the door and, well, hopefully play the game. First of all, I'm going to work through the tabs at the top of the screen. So first of all, we are going to research your hand tools to get your construction going, as well industry as well as construction to get going. We're going to go for electronic mechanical engineering to get your industry going and tech going. And also, you have got some open choices of what you want to progress with. But usually the basic thing to do is just go with your tech. So in this case, we're going to go for the Grand Battle Plan, which results in more planning bonus, and which usually works out to be more overall damage. You have got a slight situation going on as Ethiopia, because you could start the war as them. So in this case, we're going to take care of this war first. Left click on the army, right click on the front line, and make an attack order, and assign a general. In this case, to the bottom with these guys too. Left click this guy, right click to assign, make a front line, and assign a general. We are assigning guys with 1 skill, which is good because in this circumstance means that we can grind them up to higher experience. Also going to select our Air Force, assign them here, air superiority and close air support to help out them combat. And we're going to tell them to attack and move in their own time. In the meantime, we need to build on industry as well. So civilian factories are good to begin the game with. So we'll make a few civvies there. And we'll also make a few civvies here in Tuscany too. That's 80% and 80%. So that means they're going to be enough production to escalate you to a high level. We're going to left click on all the armies and do the same thing as we did as Germany. And we're going to just make a fallback line here. And tell everyone to assign here. And we can assign this to a field marshal. That's good. We're going to do your first national focus in this case. And usually the best one to start with is Army Primacy, because it gives 2 military factories, 5 experience, and some land doctrines for freebies. Yeah, I've got some excess military factories. Now, depending how you want to play the game, you can go for some tanks as Italy. But in this circumstance, to keep things really, really simple, we're going to go for an artillery build. And that should be okay. I've got a few more factories left. And we'll probably invest in a little bit more close air support. And that'll probably be enough production for now. We probably don't need that many motorized, so we'll take 1 off. And in this case, to keep things really simple, we're going to eliminate all the navy. And we'll merge the navy up. A lot more navies to select in this case, because Italy does start with a relatively large fleet. Do the same thing. Press G to merge, or you press this button, and then merge the fleet up. And we do have excess production still. Oh, we have 1 more. 1 more, which we'll assign onto artillery. That'll do. We'll give all of our production onto convoys. Going to select all of our air wings. Going to shift and hold and left click. And sign them all into Rome. We can train some new divisions at the start of the game as well. It's up to you how you want to do it. It's going to be a little bit different with Italy, because you do start the game with not all your army fully supplied, only 93%, and you do a bit behind on your guns. So you have to spend a little bit of time before you make up the losses. You can also import a little bit more resources too. Yet again, to be aware that the more resources you import, the less it affects your production, so therefore you have less ability to explode as your economy goes up. But as it stands right in this second though, with the current production and the losses you're experiencing, it's not actually too bad. So you hover over this division, you can see what the penalty is, and 15% isn't too bad. Okay, in this circumstance now, we're going to wait for our armies to push forward. We are pushing forward and doing lots of damage. We don't have any planning bonus, but as it stands right now, these guys are doing quite well, so that's okay. The first goal is Italy, is to annex Ethiopia, and it lets you continue the focus here for Triumph in Africa. Well, lets you do some other things in Europe, such as annexing Yugoslavia, as well as annexing Albania, which expands your total industrial base and the amount of resources you've got access to. Don't worry too much about if you're winning or losing here. At the end of the day, it's all good, because you do get to grind your experience for these generals. This guy is a mountaineer, and he's also 4 skills, so that's very, very good. This guy is currently 2 skill, and he's working towards becoming an engineer, which is usually pretty good. So you can see the green icons usually indicate you are winning. The red ones means you are losing. You notice a little bit of a back and forth. You do feel like the southern front has less troops than the northern front. Your army primacy is done. And in this circumstance, the next one you usually go for that is probably the most effective will be Ethiopian War Logistics. It gives you options to add some factories if you go down the focus tree to mainland Italy. We have access to extra factories here, which we are going to assign these onto guns at the moment, because we are needing to take care of them later on as we progress further. You can look at the templates and see what they consist of, and it gives you a bit of an idea what you can go for. So as you can see, they're moving further forward. When you do take the capital, we are going to go for mechanical compute again. When we do go for Abba, you'll more than likely notice that the war will end, because that's where all the victory points land. There is a city here, though, but for the most part, it's all located in their capital in the north. It's a bit of a struggle to fight through here, because these are mountains, but these divisions they've got are relatively weak. The Spanish Civil War has fired, so we have the ability to lend lease to the nationalist Spain once again. In this case, we're going to send them 100 guns a month. You need to do this to gain a bit of experience and help out your nationalist buddies. We have annexed Ethiopia. We can completely annex them completely by taking their only state, and that'll do fine. We're going to assign all you guys here, and then we can group up all their armies and we can split them off for how we want them to be. So in this circumstance, we have a big navy here. This is a big super fleet, but to keep things simple for this tutorial, we're just going to keep it as one big super fleet. You can split them off into little fleets, for instance, for convoy raiding or for escorting. It's up to you. But at the moment, this fleet's just going to be our main attack fleet. So these guys are on their way to... These are the guys from Ethiopia. All it is control-click on the fallback line here, and they've been assigned here. So at this point, you can get some more factories assigned, or you can go for Triumph in Africa. Triumph in Africa gives you the ability to get claims on Yugoslavia to annex them, which is something you can do early on that is a good idea, because it lets you take them out without causing World War II. In this case, we'll go for the factories. Keep it a nice, peaceful approach. You guys are on the way. You have got some... So what you can also do, if you want to assign everything really quickly and easily... We have a new division that spawns, so we're going to right-click to assign it. We're going to go for concentrated industry. And in this case, we can double-click on a mountain divisions that assigns all the mountains. Right-click to make a new army, assign those to the front line. See, these are mountains here. Mountains and hills. So in that case, they'll get the best defensive bonus for the mountaineers, which will work out the best for you. We can go for this guy too. He has extra entrenchment, which usually will work out better for the entrenching on the borders. You can see there's still one tile here that's empty. So what if you want to? You can select one more division and assign him to this front line. You have got a lot of front lines to defend as the Italians. You've got here, I guess you've got issues with Greece. You've got the front lines in Africa as well. And you've got the front lines here as well. So they all are potential issues. So you've got some first political power here. Usually the best one to go for early on is Captain of Industry, because you are making civilian factories, which will boost your economy and give you a 10% extra production bonus for making civvies. Yet again, at the start of the game, you want to make as many civvy factories as possible, because that will overall make your economy a lot larger to expand later on in the game. In this case, you always want to go for the ones that have got the most percentage of infrastructure. 70% is a good one. There's 61 there, 60 here. There's lots of places you can expand into. I'm holding shift and I'm clicking for civilian factories to increase the maximum amount to be inserted and installed within those states. We have one factory here that's not been assigned, so what I'm going to do is just take one off and click it back on again. That way that motorized will be assigned one factory. One factory will be enough, because as the production efficiency gets higher, they'll produce a lot more. We're going to work down the list and go for construction to jumpstart the economy and get it rolling. We're going to move our Air Force over to here and press G to merge. And you can see we've got separate air wings. In this case, we could get you, split that in half. We are making some naval bombers. We've also got you, split that in half. These are close air support. We can go for the industry as well and get you an extra research slot. This is probably going to be a good idea, because you want to focus mostly on science and industry at the start of the game before you start to go to war with other countries. We've sent the equipment to nationalist Spain, and we're grinding a bit of experience. Yep. Could train a few more divisions as well. What you could probably do as well is assign your tank divisions to here. And also assign a few infantry divisions here as well. And that will make your planning for invading Yugoslavia better off. And you can also assign your divisions to front lines, for instance, here. You go here, you can have a front line here. Remember, when the wars kick off, you've got multiple fronts you're going to be fighting on as Italy, so you've got to spread yourself quite thin. If you get victories in certain parts of the map, it will help you push further forward and overall win the war effort in different areas of the map. So right now we can control the Western Balkans. You could defend this area as well. I guess we could. So what you could do is select for... Hang on. Found these divisions. 1, 2. And then put you guys here. And then they could defend that area. As long as they sit there, they can build up entrenchment. Therefore, it helps the defensive advantage in this region. It's a very difficult spot to hold on to this, though, because this is one area. So what can happen is if they attack into you here from 4 different states, they can do... Well, they can have a very wide combat width. And because it's only one state, you are encircled. So you have to retreat back. Some more divisions here. We could assign this guy here. I would recommend, if you're not really very good at the game, to focus on industry and science to begin with, before you move on to more combat-heavy mechanics. In this case, we're going to go for Triumph for Africa, and then we are going to focus on claims on Yugoslavia, so I can get an early war versus Yugoslavia. We've got a little bit more industry now, so we can focus on putting some more in, so we can assign those extra factories into close air support, so we can produce loads of them. Train some more divisions because we've got lots of excess production. If you look at the logistics, we're working on grand battle plans, so there you go. Extra planning bonus is good. Planning is represented by this blue bar. The longer you wait, the more planning bonus you get. The more planning bonus you get, the more additional free damage you get for later on in the game. We've got extra civvy production here that we can assign, so we'll assign into here and here. We've got excess PP here, so which you can assign to other areas of the map too. So in this case, we can go for, usually a good start would be go for your doctrine guy, usually as a universal start. In the case of Italy, you don't have a universal doctrine guy. You either have to go with a grand battle plan guy or a mobile warfare guy, which costs 250 political power. So you have to wait a little bit longer for that, which is a shame because you miss out on a lot of army experience early on in the game. It's also quite a good idea to try and expand your combat width to as big as it can go. In this case, 12 is not a good size combat width. You want to go for a minimum of 12 to a maximum of 40. Trying to aim for, well, in this case, it needs to be... It would just go with 20 or 40. I mean, in this case, I mean, it works out the better for you in the long run if you go for those numbers. There you go. So 20 combat width is the one you go for. We are behind on guns now because we have to catch up on what we've just lost. But for overall, that should work out fine. The words I was looking for is a derivative of 40. Sorry, derivative of 80 means it's any number that fits into 80, right? Is that correct? But then technically it's still... No, it would be. That's correct. So it will be 2... it would be 2... 10, 20, and 80. Yeah, that's right, yeah. Concentrated again. Mechanized computer. Radio is good because it enforces reinforce rate. Triumph in Africa is done. Claims on Yugoslavia to get claims on Yugoslavia. Join the Common Term Pact. Makes a difference what you go for. It just improves relations with other nations around you. In this circumstance, we are going to wait for Grand Battle Plan tech, so we are going to go for that one. I did say to you early on, when you're playing as Germany, that if you want to go, if you get into a war early on, it might be a good idea to go for military staff to begin with, and we can go for that if you want to. So in this case, we can go for Infantry Specialist, gives extra 5% extra attack, which is usually quite useful. And yeah, that usually is good, and also the cavalry attack's pretty good too. We have got some cavalry, haven't we? Yeah, we've got these guys. Cavalry and motorized. So I guess those will be the biggest benefit to us as a nation. So we'll go for a cavalry specialist. Got some extra divisions here. We're going to assign those to the front line. When it comes down to our production, we can hover over the production bar to get an idea of how much production we're losing due to lack of resources. 20% is quite bad, so what we could do is import a little bit of oil. We can just import 1 oil, and that'll make a massive impact on the amount of production we are making. Let's have a look. There you go. So it was 20%, now it's 10.7%, which is a lot better. That way we're losing less production overall, which is very, very good. Got some extra divisions that we can assign here. That's fine. Also, what we could also do is make our tank division a little bit more ideal. It is a very wonky size, so we'll get rid of some of the cavalry. And there you go. It is 10 combat width now, so that's perfect. As long as it is a derivative of 80, that would be fine. There we go. For this time being, we'll go for the extra research slot. We can now fabricate. Well, we could fabricate on Yugoslavia beforehand, but it would take a total of 225 days. But we can do it now with a claim, where it takes 120 days. That's a lot quicker. So as you can see, compared to the Germany game, The quick start guide is a lot easier and quicker, and you can get into the combat a lot sooner on. Whereas Germany, you're kind of just making a general build-up, building your industry, building your army size. Whereas Italy, you are jumping into wars a lot earlier on, such as Ethiopia and Yugoslavia. We're going to go for machine tools, which is usually a good buff to go with at the start of the game too, to kickstart that economy and get it rolling in. Got some extra divisions that I'm not assigned that we can assign in now. And that's just telling us missing equipment for light tanks and fighters, which if you do want to make more light tanks and fighters, you can do that. What we'll do for the time being is assign one tank, light tank military factory. It hasn't been assigned because it's grayed out, but as we get more factories from Yugoslavia, we'll assign those onto light tanks, so they will be used at some point in the game. We'll wait for the war versus Yugoslavia, and then we'll pretty much just call it there. Actually, don't think about it. I think we'll just call it there. We don't need to see the war versus Yugoslavia. In this case, you'd go for the victory points of here, here, here and here, and that will capitulate Yugoslavia. You have got a significantly bigger army than them, so it'll be very, very easy to take them out. But that's pretty much the start guide to Italy to get you first into the game and to let you know the first thing to do. And there you go. Our equipment is being used effectively because the nationalists are winning. Apart from that, I hope you have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.